As you all probably already know, the internet has really revolutionized the modern world. It's changed the way that we interact with one another, the way that we consume information, and even the way that we do business. These days, because of the internet, more and more people are taking the leap and starting their own e-commerce stores. All in all, it's pretty easy to do. It has low barriers to entry, and global transactions are over the trillions of dollars already. In the past, if you wanted to open a store, your customer base would be limited to those within a certain radius of your store. These days, you can open your doors to a much wider national and even global audience. So let's just start with the basics. What is an e-commerce store exactly? Well, an e-commerce store is really just short for electronic commerce. It's simply a way for people to buy a product or service over the internet via a website. Or in the simplest terms possible, an e-commerce store is an online shop. Many big online retailers, including Amazon and Overstock, fall under the e-commerce headings, and many businesses with offline presences also have an e-commerce arm. Companies like IKEA, Target, American Apparel. If you've ever bought anything online, you'll know how e-commerce works from a consumer perspective. The focus of this course, though, is to talk about e-commerce from a business perspective. Let's look at a little history first. Before we can actually begin building an online store, we need to talk a little bit about some terminology, and I want to give you a background about e-commerce and how it relates to what's happening on the web. So the first thing that I want you to think about is, when did online shopping actually start? Well, to give you a little bit of history, online shopping began in 1979, which probably sounds a little unbelievable since nobody was actually using the internet to shop for anything. The internet didn't really even exist. But Michael Aldrich connected a modified home television to a transaction processing computer over a telephone line in the UK. And I just think it's pretty impressive that he actually did this. So this was actually the birth of online shopping. Another big year for e-commerce was 1994. And Jeff Bezos, he started Amazon in 1994. Netscape also introduced SSL encryption, and Pizza Hut actually introduced online ordering. Amazon, who probably is the first company that we always think about when we think of online shopping, it didn't actually turn a profit until 2003, but you can see what's happened to them since then. So when we think about e-commerce today, e-commerce sales are expected to grow to more than $400 billion in the next couple of years. Forrester Research is estimating that $414 billion in sales are going to occur, and eMarketer is estimating by 2018 $491.5 billion worth of sales is going to occur online. In the US, we spend about $327 billion online. That's a stat as of 2016, and that's up from $2,002 billion just last year. B2B e-commerce sales are expected to reach 1.92 trillion US dollars, which is an extraordinary amount of money, and it's a great space to be since it still is wide open and there's lots of growth that's occurring there. If we look at e-commerce today, 53% of the US population, that's 167 million people, purchased something online in 2011. 56% of US population, that's 192 million people, is going to purchase something online in 2016 if they haven't already done so yet. Our average yearly spending online in 2011 was just over $1,200, and the average yearly spending in 2016 is over $1,700. So you can see how much that's increased in just the last few years. If you are even remotely interested in designing websites, you need to know how to deal with e-commerce on the web.